And welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit, here as we essentially approach what is the end. The NBA season is officially coming to a close. It'll all be said and done by this time next week, which is exciting on one hand, but also a little bit scary on the other. Now, I'm someone who lives, breathes, and just is enamored with basketball. So this time of year, there's no NBL. The NBA is about to wrap up. It really is, a bittersweet point in time. The beauty of the NBA, as I've said time in and time out, is the news is nonstop. There is always something going on from around the league, whether it's free agency approaching the upcoming NBA draft. There is still sure to be plenty of news coming out of the league. But it's certainly going to be a little bit of an adjustment period without basketball on every day for me to tune into. Nevertheless, at the time of speaking, there is still basketball playing out, so we will get into that very, very shortly. Before we do so, though, just want to give a big shout out to both the Stadium Scene and The Cover. Very, very proud to be a part of those two fantastic networks, continuing to showcase all of my work here at the Daily Dribble. Their support is certainly very much appreciated. Okay, before we get into a bit of a kind of a recap of games 2 and 3 from the NBA Finals, just want to rattle through some very quick odds and ends. Starting on a bit of a dour note here with the news that sadly the logo, Jerry West, passed away during the week at the age of 86, a 1969 NBA Finals MVP, 1972 NBA champion, who was a 14-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA player, and 5-time All-Defensive player. He leaves a profound impact on the league, which we see it every time we watch a game. As I said, the logo is synonymous with the NBA. It was great that he passed away with his wife, Karen, by his side peacefully, but nevertheless leaves a big hole on the NBA community. On the coaching front, it seems week in and week out, there is always something going on in this regard. But the Bucks have hired Darvin Ham to be their top assistant coach under head coach Doc Rivers there in Milwaukee. Now, Darvin, if you weren't familiar with, was it an assistant with Milwaukee from 2018 to 2022. He won a championship with them there in 2021. Has spent the past 2 seasons as head coach of the LA Lakers. Was extremely sought after this offseason, but now returns to help form what is quite a formidable coaching group there alongside Doc Rivers. And, it certainly plays a part in pushing for a championship, having the right people there directing this team. Darvin Ham and Doc Rivers, that is a pretty star-studded list there. So he's hoping that can help get the Bucks back to the promised land next season. Now, I mentioned last week about the Lakers' pursuit of UConn coach Dan Hurley. That's since broken down. Now, he's opted to stay with UConn to try and complete that three-peat, despite the Lakers offering him more than double his current salary. Now, for the next 6 seasons, Hurley's on $32 million. The Lakers were prepared to offer him $70 million across those 6 seasons. Money can't buy everyone, it would seem. So the Lakers now go back to the drawing board. James Borrego and JJ Redick are the 2 names that are most heavily linked with the franchise. But once again, I will be sure to keep you updated on how that transpires. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more twists and turns before it's all said and done. During the week, the OKC Thunder have been rumored in a few potential players. Now, how strong these rumors are is questionable, but they're just 2 names I kind of wanted to throw out to you guys to see what you thought of them. Now, Klay Thompson and Isaiah Hartenstein are the 2 names that have been mentioned this week. With the asset that the Thunders have at their disposal, they have so much flexibility to make things happen. And in my personal opinion, I quite like both of these moves. I think the shooting and experience that Klay would bring is massive. They're already a lights-out shooting team from the perimeter, but adding someone of the caliber of Klay Thompson would be massive. Likewise, Hartenstein would probably play the backup big there, which is certainly nothing to sneeze at. We saw him, once Mitchell Robinson went down for the Knicks this season, he filled that starting role really, really competently. And I think getting him would be a huge coup there for the Thunder. Now, with the growth trajectory that they're currently on, it's just massive. The sky is the limit for them, and securing players of this level would only increase the speed at which they're headed. said it so many times across the course of this season. They're not only built for the present, but also the future. So I truly think the next decade in OKC is going to be really scary, with SGA leading things there, Shet following in behind. The assets at their disposal, they are poised in such a great position at the moment. But I'm sure there's going to be plenty more names thrown about in conjunction with OKC over the course of the next few weeks. These are two that have cropped up this week, but I'm sure they've got moves to make this offseason. Another name that has been attached potentially to a franchise that I wanted to mention finally for odds and ends was Russell Westbrook. Now, the Heat have become the betting favourites to land him if he leaves the Clippers. I think this would be an incredibly fun move. Imagine having two dogs at your disposal like Jimmy Butler and Russell Westbrook. That is, grit and grind, Heat culture. I could really see Russ fitting in well there. He would certainly help speed up that tempo of that second unit. I quite like the move, but as I've said before, any team that gets Russ, you need to put really strong parameters on how much you let him do offensively in regards to shooting. Let him help nurture and lead this team, this second unit, whilst playing really good team ball, I think is what you want out of Russ. You don't need MVP level Russ. You don't need him taking 20 shots on any given night. He's not that player anymore. If anyone's to do it, I'm sure Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra there would be the guys that could get the best out of him. So, and he's just got that look, doesn't he? Russell Westbrook hanging out in South Beach. I think it's a bit of a match made in heaven. So, guys, let me know what you think. Hit me up on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok at The Daily Dribble. Let me know your thoughts about Russ to the Miami Heat. I think a hell of a fun move if it eventuates. Okay, guys, let's push ahead.
Daily Dribble.
Into the NBA Finals, Game 2 and 3. Just going to do a quick recap and how I see things possibly playing out, or what the Mavs have essentially got to do to get back in this series. Now, as things currently stand, the Celtics lead 3-0. I'm recording this one a day earlier on Friday here in Australia. I'm hoping to get it out first thing Saturday morning so that hopefully a few of you guys can tune into it before Game 4 tips off later tomorrow. But we'll see how we go. Now, Game 2. The Celtics won this one 105-98. Luka had 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 steals, but had 8 turnovers in the bowl game. Whilst Drew Holiday was probably the pick of the Celtics there with 26 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. Now, it's something I've highlighted time in and time out leading into this series and throughout. If you tuned into last week's show, I no doubt would have mentioned it. But the Mavs' three-point shooting woes continued in this one. They went 6 of 26, so 23% there. Going into the series, I mentioned that this had to be a point that they had to be extremely competitive with, or if not win, if they wanted to win this series. Now, if you take Luka away from those stats there, the 6 of 26, if you take Luka away from that, the Mavs finished even worse at 2 for 17 from 3. In no world do you win a ball game if you're shooting that poorly. The Celtics, though, were again tremendous with their ball movement. They had 29 assists on 38 made field goals, whilst the Mavs, again, were poorer in this regard with 21 assists on 38 made field goals. I thought the Celtics in this one did a tremendous job of attacking Luka defensively. They were able to blow by him with very, very little resistance, and hence did a very comprehensive job of wrapping up home court there 2-0. They did what they had to do. It was to be expected. The Mavs challenged without really looking like they were ever going to win this one. But so the Celtics rolled into Dallas there for Game 3. It looked like the Mavs were just going to absolutely torch them. They started the first quarter extremely well. They led by double digits, had it up to 13 points, and looked in real comfortable control for the first half of that first quarter. They attacked the paint tremendously well. Without Porzingis in the fold there, they just had very little resistance for the first part of the game. The Celtics, as we've seen time and time again throughout the season, were able to rally extremely well in the back half of the first quarter. to trail by only 1 point, 31-30 going into quarter time there. The hot shooting that we saw throughout the first quarter didn't continue, turned into a bit of a slugfest for the second quarter, which resulted in the Mavs still holding that 1 point lead at halftime, 51-50. From there, though, the game flipped on its head. The Celtics put the foot down early in the third and didn't let up. They won the quarter 35-19 to lead by 15 points heading into the last quarter there. It was looking pretty comfortable at that point. I kind of thought that was all said and done. Went into the fourth. Celtics continued to build that lead. They led by as many as 21 points in the fourth quarter there before the Mavs went on a ridiculous 22-2 run. They cut the lead to 1, and it looked like home court, all the momentum in the world on their side, that they were going to pull off an improbable victory. Wasn't to be. Luka Doncic fouled out. The Celtics were able to steady there and held on for the 106-99 win. Absolute heartbreak there for the Mavs. Absolute heartbreak for them to start off so hotly, to then get absolutely crushed, to reel off a 22-2 run and get themselves within striking distance. That is heartbreaking for them. Luka in this one had 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, ended up fouling out. Kyrie had 35 points, going 4 of 6 from 3. Tatum had 31 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, whilst Jaylen Brown had 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists in this one. Now, Game 4 is set to play out on Saturday, as I mentioned, tomorrow here in Australia. By the time you listen to this one, it might have already played out. But the Mavs are going to have to make history. Now, teams are 156-0 when leading 3-0. Records are made to be broken, aren't they? Sooner or later, a team is going to come along and be the 1-56-1 in this expression. I don't know if it's the Mavs. I think the Celtics are just too dominant on both ends of the floor. But I'm holding hope. You've got to take it one game at a time. I think the key for the Mavs, or my key for the Mavs, should I say, getting back into the series are keep attacking the paint. The 3-ball has absolutely deserted the franchise as a whole. It's time to change their approach and just put pressure on the rim. As I said, they built a really sizable lead by attacking the rim in the first quarter of Game 3 there. So keep at it. Stick with what's working. In regards to the two stars, Kyrie and Luka, I think they're going to have to drop a combined 70 points every game from here on out if there to be any chance, because a little bit of PJ Washington, a little bit of Derek Lively there in Game 3. For the most part, the supporting cast has been pretty bang average up until this point. And, you know, I think 70 points. I think 70 points is probably going to have to be the minimum there that both of them score combined. But they really do need a tertiary person to come along with them. And thirdly, my key for the Mavs' success to hopefully get back into things is be better defensively. Like, that's more so directed at Luka as a whole, but the team altogether can be better in that regard. The Celtics are so potent as a team, and like he just can't afford to be blown by as easy as what he is at the moment. He's got to ensure he stays out of foul trouble as well. You know, it's kind of like the butterfly effect. Who knows what would have happened if he hadn't have fouled out in the last couple of minutes of that game yesterday? Could the Mavs be 2-1? We'll never know because he did foul out. But yeah, you've got to have your best player, your franchise player on the court every possible minute, especially when it comes to crunch time down the stretch there. So staying out of foul trouble is key. In terms of the rest of the series, I have the Mavs winning Game 4. I think they pick up at least one, partly because I think they're good enough to pick up one, and partly because I think the Celtics would want to go back to Beantown, Game 5 there, wrap it up. That championship coming home on home court, I think would be preferable to them. I certainly don't think they're going out with the intention to lose tomorrow, but I think the Mavs win Game 4 and the Celtics wrap it up in Game 5 there. My Mavs in 7 approach, not looking great at the moment. But who knows? There's still a pulse. There's still a heartbeat. It's not over till the fat lady sings, but my word is she warming her vocal cords up at the moment. By this time next week, though, guys, we will have crowned our NBA champions for season 2023-2024. As I said, it's somewhat bittersweet, but rest assured the content will be continuing to pour out from both the NBA and the NBL. Continue to stay up to date with all of the socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok to get the latest news as soon as it drops, as well as subscribing wherever you listen to the show. I do certainly appreciate it, whether you're watching this one on YouTube or listening via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other leading podcast providers. Your support certainly means the world to me. Okay, guys, I will leave it there. I will try and get this one out ASAP Rocky. So hopefully you can tune into it prior to Game 4. If not, let's hope that we get a bit of a Mavs resistance here. Hopefully we get this one going 5, 6, maybe even 7 games. Until next week, though, guys, I can't wait to break down our champion with you next week. Enjoy the last couple of days of NBA basketball for the season, and I will speak to you very soon. Till then, take care.